Welcome to 21st Century Dating Decoded. We're making modern love simple. Get ready to decode your love life. Brought to you by Mingle.
Imagine walking up to a velvet rope at a local bar on a Friday night.
Right.
You know, you're dressed well, you're feeling confident, and you hand your driver's license to the bouncer at the door.
Like you always do.
Exactly. But he isn't checking your ID to see if you're old enough to drink. He is actually checking it to see if you were too old to find love.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after, scrutinizing your birth date, he just looks up, shakes his head, and tells you to go home because you missed the acceptable age cutoff by, 14 months.
That is brutal.
You were simply too old to enter the room.
Jeez.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm your host, officially welcoming you to 21st Century Dating Decoded.
Yes.
Today's deep dive is titled The Magic City Matchup. Speed dating versus speed mingle and that velvet rope scenario. That isn't some hypothetical dystopian novel.
No, it's not.
That is literally exactly what is happening right now in the analog dating world.
It really is. And I'm your co-host, and I have to say, it is such a striking visual.
Why?
It just perfectly encapsulates the strange, rigid, and frankly, often discriminatory mechanics that kind of govern so much of how we try to meet people today.
Oh, 100%.
And we have a massive stack of sources to unpack for this deep dive today.
We really do. So much material.
Yeah, we're talking about official event FAQs, local on-the-ground news coverage from places like the Birmingham Chronicle.
Which is fascinating to read.
Right. And these incredibly candid Reddit threads filled with real user experiences spanning from Milwaukee all the way to the Triangle.
Those are eye-opening.
Plus corporate histories and an absolutely staggering $60.5 million legal settlement that just blew the lid off dating app discrimination.
That lawsuit is wild.
Yeah.
We are definitely getting into that. So the mission for this deep dive is incredibly clear.
Yes.
We are taking you, the listener, straight into the messy, exhausting, and just often absurd world of modern romance.
Because it is a mess out there.
It's a complete mess.
Yeah.
And we want to figure out exactly how local singles in Birmingham, Alabama are just aggressively ditching digital fatigue and returning to face-to-face connections.
Because they are. They're flocking back to it.
They really are. Because, the digital era promised us infinite choices. We were supposed to have the entire world right at our fingertips.
Right. The ultimate dating utopia.
Exactly. But what it actually delivered was infinite burnout.
Which perfectly brings us to the core thesis of our analysis today.
Let's hear it.
Well, if you look at the current landscape, both online and in these legacy offline events, modern dating culture has fully embraced raw, unfiltered desires.
Yeah, people know what they want.
Or at least they're very vocal about exactly what they want.
Fair point.
But in doing so, the culture has completely abandoned structure, boundaries, and intentionality.
Yes.
We're currently living in an era that I would classify as uncertified dating.
Uncertified dating. I like that.
Right. It's just a chaotic free-for-all where accountability is virtually non-existent, and the user, meaning you, listening to this right now, bears all the emotional and financial risks.
Okay, let's unpack this, because uncertified dating is the absolute perfect terminology.
It really fits.
It feels entirely unregulated, and I want you, the listener, to approach this through a completely different framework today. Let's introduce a concept called the relational portfolio.
Ooh, the relational portfolio. Break that down.
So if you look at your 401k or, your financial investments, you do not just blindly throw your life savings at a random meme coin.
Obviously not.
Right. You don't do it just because a stranger on the internet with a cartoon profile picture told you he was going to the moon. You wouldn't do that.
It's a terrible strategy.
You research, you strategize, you manage your risk, and you diversify.
Exactly.
But with our dating lives, which, let's be totally honest, impact our long-term happiness and stability far more than a stock portfolio ever will, we treat it like a slot machine in a dark casino.
Wow. Yes. We literally just pull the lever.
We just passively pull that lever, and hope the algorithm decides to hit the jackpot today. That is terrible asset management.
It is the worst kind of asset management.
Your dating life requires strategy. It requires genuine connection, calculated risk management, and diversification.
Yeah.
It should not be outsourced to a passive algorithmic swiping system that is literally designed to keep you single and swiping.
I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, extending that financial metaphor really reveals the ultimate flaw in modern dating.
Tell me more.
Using the dating apps is exactly like investing in a volatile meme coin.
Totally.
It is highly speculative, there's almost zero underlying foundational value, and the market is rife with bad actors and scams. You're trading your most valuable capital, your time, your emotional energy, and your vulnerability into this digital void with absolutely no guaranteed return on investment.
Nothing.
In fact, the platform itself operates on what we can call the commodification of rejection.
Whoa, wait. The commodification of rejection.
Yes.
That is a heavy concept.
Yeah.
Explain exactly what you mean by that, because I think people feel this intuitively, but they don't have the vocabulary for it.
Well, it's the underlying business model of the entire digital dating industry.
Yeah.
If an app actually fulfilled its promise, like if you downloaded it, found your soulmate on day one, and deleted the app, the company would go bankrupt.
They'd be out of business in a week.
Exactly. They cannot monetize your success. They can only monetize your prolonged search.
That makes so much sense.
Therefore, their algorithms are economically incentivized to keep you on the platform. They feed you just enough hope to keep you engaged, but they fundamentally rely on your continued failure.
Wow.
Your rejection is what allows them to sell you premium subscriptions, super likes, and profile boosts. Your loneliness is their primary revenue stream.
So the house always wins.
The house always wins.
And that realization right there is exactly why people are hitting a breaking point.
They fed up.
Before we look at the offline solutions that are happening in the Magic City right now, we really have to talk about the dark ages of digital fatigue that drove people back into the physical world to begin with.
That's a massive shift.
The sources highlight a boiling point in Birmingham. It is palpable. And it's fascinating because billions of dollars have been poured into these tech conglomerates trying to artificially replicate the chemistry of a face-to-face encounter through a 6-inch screen.
Which is impossible, honestly.
And the verdict across the board is a spectacular failure.
The psychological toll is just immense. The sources detail the exhaustion of endless text threads that stretch on for weeks, but, they never actually materialize into a physical meeting.
The endless texting is the worst.
Right. We see the complete normalization of ghosting.
Ugh, ghosting.
Where a person you've invested significant emotional energy into simply digitally vanishes without a trace.
Just poof, gone.
And perhaps most insidious is breadcrumbing, where you are given just enough sporadic attention, like a text here, or like on a photo there, to keep you on the hook.
Just keeping you warm.
Exactly. But never enough intentionality to actually form a foundational relationship. The narrative that digital dating is efficient is a complete myth.
It's not efficient at all.
It creates a dynamic where human beings are treated as disposable commodities in a digital catalog.
And let's be totally honest about the culture of false advertising this creates, too.
Oh, the false advertising is rampant.
The sources call out some incredibly specific bad modern habits that we have just collectively decided to accept as normal.
Like what?
Like people using outdated, poorly lit headshots from 5 years ago.
Yes.
They're using expired digital filters that physically alter their jawlines and skin texture on their profiles.
It's basically a different person.
Right. So you spend 3 weeks texting someone, you build up this elaborate mental image of who they are, you finally invest the time, the energy, and the money to meet them at a coffee shop. And the person who walks through the door looks like a completely different human being. The immediate gut-wrenching disappointment is palpable. It is a betrayal of trust before you have even ordered your drinks.
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of that moment.
Right.
That initial deception completely short-circuits any potential for genuine connection.
Because you're instantly on guard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the very first data point you verify in person, which is their physical appearance, turns out to be a fabricated lie, your brain's evolutionary defense mechanisms immediately flag them as untrustworthy.
That makes total biological sense.
It is not just about vanity or superficiality. It is about baseline integrity. You cannot build a foundational relationship on a fabricated avatar.
Yeah.
Your brain fundamentally rejects the premise.
Right. You're sitting there thinking, well, if you lied about your face, what else are you lying about?
Exactly.
It completely kills the vibe instantly. And that exact exhaustion, that relentless cycle of artificial hope, followed by immediate visceral disappointment, is what pushed over 150 singles to gather in downtown Birmingham recently.
Yes, the Birmingham event.
Let's get into the Magic City matchup, because this is where the narrative shifts from the problem to the real-world analog solutions. This wasn't just a regular Friday night out. It was a massive double-header social experiment.
It was a highly revealing cross-section of modern dating behaviors.
Very revealing.
You had 150 singles navigating between different venues in downtown Birmingham, places like the Loft District, Cahaba Brewing Company, and Fairway Social.
Great spots, by the way.
They really are. And they were participating in a direct comparison of two distinctly different offline formats.
Okay, set the scene for us.
On one side, you had traditional speed dating, specifically run by a legacy company called Predating.
Okay, the legacy model.
Right. On the other side, you had the rapidly growing tech-integrated ecosystem known as Mingle.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The data and the on-the-ground reporting from this experiment revealed a massive, stark demographic divide in how different generations actually want to connect in the physical world.
A huge divide.
Let's look at the 30-plus demographic first.
Okay.
The sources indicate they overwhelmingly lean toward the traditional predating model, which was taking place in the Loft District. They referred to this as the romance track. Describe the atmosphere of this track because it sounds intense.
It is incredibly intense. It's a high-stakes, highly structured, 4-minute romantic sprint.
4 minutes. That's no time at all.
You sit down, the timer starts, you rapid-fire evaluate the person across from you, the bell rings, and you move on.
Wow.
It operates with extreme, almost ruthless efficiency.
You know, I can actually understand the appeal of that, though.
You can.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in your mid-30s or 40s, you are likely exhausted by the endless ambiguity of the apps. You're tired of just hanging out.
That's true.
You want to know immediately, are we doing this or not? You want to look someone in the eye and figure out if there is a spark right now.
Precisely. The romance track eliminates the guesswork entirely. Every single person in that room has paid a ticket price to be there, and they are explicitly looking for a romantic partner.
There's no mistaking why they're in the room.
There is zero ambiguity about intentions. However, when you contrast that with the 21 to 29 demographic at the event, who congregated over at Cahaba Brewing for the Speed Mingle format, you see a completely different sociological approach.
Yeah, the younger demographic wants absolutely nothing to do with that 4-minute high-pressure sprint.
Nothing at all.
They heavily preferred what the sources dubbed the social track. It is described as a friendship-first, ambient chaos.
Ambient chaos. I love that term.
Right. They actively run away from the binary yes or no evaluation. Why is that? Why is the younger generation so averse to direct romantic pressure?
Because they have grown up entirely within the digital panopticon.
Ah, right. They've been observed their whole lives.
They have been evaluated, swiped on, and judged their entire adult lives online. They do not want their offline experiences to mimic the binary sorting mechanisms of Tinder.
That makes perfect sense.
They want a multi-dimensional social ecosystem. They want to walk into a room and make group chat friends, find a networking contact, maybe find someone to go bouldering with. And if a romantic spark happens organically in that mix, great.
But it's not the sole focus.
Exactly. They refuse to force the interaction under the overt high-pressure label of a date.
They don't want to treat dates like corporate job interviews.
Nobody does.
Because, let's be real, traditional speed dating can absolutely devolve into a sterile HR interview.
Oh, completely.
What do you do for a living? Where did you go to school? Are you looking for a long-term commitment? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
It's exhausting.
By the 10th person you talk to, your brain is just fried. You aren't falling in love. You are conducting an audit.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it reflects a massive generational shift in how we conceptualize community.
A shift away from what?
Well, younger singles are acutely realizing that outsourcing their entire social infrastructure to digital platforms has left them deeply, profoundly isolated.
They're lonely.
They are. They don't just need a romantic target to fix their lives. They need a localized, physical, social network. They are prioritizing the health of the entire ecosystem over the acquisition of a single romantic asset.
Going back to our financial metaphor, they don't want the rigid, inflexible bond of a traditional date. They want the diversified index fund.
That is a great way to put it.
They want to invest in a broader community so that their emotional return isn't entirely dependent on one specific romantic interaction succeeding.
Right.
But this transition away from apps into the physical world is not a flawless victory.
No, it's definitely not.
The sources make it very clear that while traditional speed dating offers a structured escape from the swiping fatigue, it introduces a completely new set of deeply flawed analog liabilities.
And these analog problems are significant. They often catch attendees completely off guard because we have become so accustomed to the invisible protections of the digital world.
We take digital privacy for granted.
We really do. We need to critically analyze the traditional speed dating dilemma, specifically looking at the mechanics of predating's operational model.
Let's do it.
We have to address the strict age gating, the severe lack of digital privacy, and the undeniable peril of the physical paper scorecard.
Let's start with the velvet rope analogy we opened the show with, the age discrimination problem.
Yes, the velvet rope.
This is wild to me, and frankly, it feels incredibly antiquated.
Yeah.
Predating enforces incredibly strict, non-negotiable age brackets.
Very strict.
We are talking about events specifically marketed for ages 36 to 52 or 30 to 49, and they do not operate on the honor system.
Oh, no.
The sources show they require physical ID checks at the registration table, looking specifically at your birth year, or they conduct internet research to verify your age before you even show up to the venue.
Internet research, that's intense.
Right, and they only allow a tiny 1 to 2 year grace period.
And their enforcement of these brackets is uncompromising. Their official FAQs are remarkably explicit. If you misrepresent your age, even if you are just slightly beyond that 1 to 2 year grace period, you will not be allowed to participate.
You're just out.
You will be pulled out of the line, you will be told to leave the venue, and you will not receive a refund or a credit for a future event. You are simply dismissed.
Wait, I have to push back on this, or at least play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
If I am a 28-year-old guy, maybe I genuinely only want to date people in their mid-20s. Isn't age gating serving a practical logistical purpose?
In theory, yes.
It ensures that I'm surrounded by people in my peer group. Why is it such a negative thing to segment people by age if that's generally what the market wants?
It's a fair question, but the flaw lies in the arbitrary rigidity of the enforcement and the complete erasure of individual preference outside the statistical norm.
What do you mean?
Well, what if you are a 45-year-old who is naturally attracted to people in their early 30s? What if you are 30 and prefer to date people in their 50s? Traditional speed dating tells you that your individual preference is invalid and completely bars you from the room.
They just won't let you in.
Exactly. We found extensive, highly detailed Reddit threads from cities like Milwaukee and the Triangle, where older users, in particular, are expressing deep frustration and alienation.
Yeah, that 48-year-old user in the Milwaukee thread really stood out to me.
It was a tough read.
He wrote this long, lamenting post about being completely shunned from brackets that he felt he belonged in intellectually and lifestyle-wise, just because his birth year fell on the wrong side of an arbitrary line drawn by an event coordinator.
It's just a line in the sand.
Another user on that thread made a brilliant point. A 40-year-old and a 55-year-old might have massively overlapping life experiences, financial stability, and cultural touchstones.
Absolutely.
They might have way more in common than a 25-year-old and a 40-year-old. Yet, the 40-year-old and 55-year-old are strictly segregated into different rooms, never allowed to meet.
This raises an important question, not just about the philosophy of attraction, but about the legal and ethical framework of the dating industry itself.
Legal framework. Let's get into that.
Are age-based events practicing open, unmitigated discrimination? And this isn't just an abstract philosophical debate we are having. There is massive, concrete legal precedent that dictates how courts view this behavior.
Yes. The lawsuit.
We have to examine the $60.5 million class action settlement involving Tinder in California.
I am so glad you brought this up, because this settlement completely changes the context of this conversation.
Yeah.
Walk us through exactly what happened here, because a $60 million penalty is not a slap on the wrist.
No, it's not.
That is a structural mandate.
It was a landmark case. Tinder was sued in California under the Unruh Civil Rights Act and the state's unfair competition law.
Okay.
The core of the lawsuit revolved around Tinder's dynamic pricing algorithm for their premium services, Tinder Plus and Tinder Gold.
Right, the premium tiers.
The plaintiffs discovered that Tinder was actively charging older users, specifically anyone over the age of 28 or 29, significantly higher monthly subscription prices than they were charging younger users for the exact same digital product.
So wait, if you were 25, you might pay $99 a month. But the second you turned 30, the algorithm quietly doubled or tripled your price behind the scenes.
Exactly.
It is so shady.
Tinder attempted to justify this by arguing that younger users, like college students, have less disposable income and are more budget constrained.
So they claimed they needed a lower price point to adopt the service.
Right, they called it market research. But the plaintiffs successfully argued that this was overt, categorical discrimination based entirely on age, which violates civil rights protections.
Did the court buy Tinder's excuse?
The court did not accept Tinder's market research defense. Tinder ultimately agreed to a $60.5 million settlement to resolve the class action, completely restructuring their pricing model in California.
So what does this all mean for the offline world? It means that age gating and age-based discrimination in the dating sphere is a massive legal, ethical, and cultural liability.
It's a huge risk.
When a legacy speed dating company stands at the door and tells a 50-year-old they cannot enter a room because the cutoff is mathematically set at 49, it triggers the exact same exclusionary, discriminatory dynamics that resulted in a $60 million civil rights lawsuit for a tech giant.
Precisely. It reduces human compatibility to a crude statistical demographic.
It's just bad math.
It entirely strips away the nuance of shared values, emotional maturity, mutual interests, and personal agency.
And the justification given by these traditional speed dating companies is often rooted in deeply antiquated stereotypes.
Like what?
Well, one of the sources cited a defense from an organizer claiming that 80% of men want younger women and 50% of women want older men.
That's such a tired cliche.
Even if those broad statistics hold a grain of truth, enforcing them as a mandate entirely strips away the nuance of individual human attraction.
It really does.
But age discrimination isn't the only critical flaw in the analog model. We have to talk about the mechanics of how these events operate on the floor, which presents severe, borderline dangerous privacy concerns.
Which brings us to a phenomenon I am officially calling the paper scorecard peril.
The paper scorecard peril, I love it.
Okay, I want you, the listener, to really visualize this scenario. You are at a traditional pre-dating event. You sit down across a small cocktail table from a complete stranger.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The bell rings. You have exactly 6 minutes to evaluate them. And in your hand, you are holding a physical, analog piece of paper, a match sheet.
Like a literal piece of paper.
Yes, a piece of paper. You are sitting there with a ballpoint pen, literally jotting down identifying physical notes to remember who they are.
Oh, no.
Things like red hair, blue shirt, likes Indian food, talk too much about his ex.
It feels incredibly regressive. It is like an interrogation checklist from the 1990s.
It really does. But here is where the peril comes in. At the end of the night, you go through your sheet, you circle your yes or no matches, you take a photograph of this highly sensitive piece of paper with your personal cell phone for your own records.
Wait, you take a picture of it?
Yes, for your records, and then you physically hand this piece of paper directly to the event host.
Are you kidding me?
No. I am raising the massive alarm here. We live in a post-GDPR world. We expect incredible data security. We use biometric Face ID just to buy a cup of coffee.
Literally.
Yet in this scenario, you are physically holding a piece of paper that dictates your romantic rejections right in front of the person you're rejecting.
That is so awkward.
What happens if the guy sitting across from you simply glances down at your scorecard and notices that you didn't circle his name?
That creates a highly volatile, completely unnecessary interpersonal conflict.
Exactly.
You are forcing the participant to execute a rejection in real time within the direct line of sight of the person being rejected.
Right. Will they harass you on the spot? Will they demand to know why you didn't check their box?
Hey, I saw you didn't circle me. What's wrong with me?
Exactly. The awkwardness and the potential for confrontation are off the charts.
It's unsafe.
And it gets worse. What exactly does the event host do with a massive stack of 50 or 60 paper cards at the end of the night?
That's a great question.
Cards that contain your full name, your personal notes, and your romantic evaluations. Are they securely transported in a locked briefcase?
I highly doubt it.
Are they shredded with a cross-cut shredder the next morning, or are they just tossed into the passenger seat of an exhausted event coordinator's Honda Civic, waiting to be manually entered into a generic spreadsheet?
It is deeply insecure from a data custody standpoint.
The analog liability is staggering. The security risks of physical paper trails containing highly personal behavioral data cannot be overstated.
It's a nightmare.
If a host loses that stack of cards, or if they leave it on a table at the venue and a patron picks it up, the privacy of every single attendee in that room is completely compromised.
In modern data security terms, this is a catastrophic breach waiting to happen.
Truly.
But the privacy disconnect goes even deeper than the physical scorecards. We need to examine their digital footprint and their official privacy policies.
This part genuinely shocked me when we were reviewing the sources.
Tree.
Pre-dating explicitly states in their terms and conditions that attendees may be photographed, filmed, or recorded during the event.
Without asking.
And they state that they will provide zero compensation for this. And those images become the explicit property of the company to be used for future marketing and promotional materials at their sole discretion.
I want the listener to sit with the horror of that scenario for a moment. You are attending a vulnerable, intimate event to try and find a partner. Do you really want to show up on your boss's LinkedIn feed on a Tuesday morning, or have your face pop up in your company's social media algorithm because you were casually tagged or featured in a promotional Facebook ad for desperate singles in Birmingham?
Absolutely not. If you are a teacher, a corporate lawyer, a healthcare professional, or frankly, just a private individual who values boundaries, the absolute last thing you want is your personal dating life being weaponized as free marketing material.
Just to help a corporate event organizer sell tickets to next month's mixer.
It's exploitative.
And it doesn't stop at the photography.
Yeah.
The sources indicate that if you do happen to match with someone on those paper cards, the company's protocol is to release your personal email address directly to your mutual matches.
Which brings us to a critical analysis of the corporate infrastructure running these events.
Who is actually behind this?
We have to ask, are we dealing with a modern enterprise that fundamentally understands data encryption, digital privacy laws, and user protection?
Yeah.
Or are we dealing with a decentralized mom-and-pop operation that is simply trying to make an extra buck using outdated, insecure methods?
That is the ultimate question here. When you look at Predating, they claim to be the largest speed dating company since 2001.
That's a long time.
They proudly tout an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and claim to have hosted over 60,000 participants over 2 decades.
Sounds impressive on paper.
Sure, but when you look under the hood at the actual machinery of how they operate today, they rely heavily on generic third-party ticketing platforms like Eventbrite to handle their transactions.
Which is not secure for this kind of data.
They are sending generic, unencrypted emails. They are physically collecting data on clipboards. Compare that to the tech ecosystems we interact with daily, and it feels like they are operating in the Stone Age.
It's practically archaic.
Do you really want your sensitive romantic data, your full name, and your contact info handled by a part-time event host, communicating out of a generic Yahoo or Gmail account?
The lack of a secure, dedicated digital infrastructure is a glaring red flag.
A huge one.
If a company handling your personal behavioral data does not utilize encrypted domain emails, and if they are managing the matching process manually on paper, they are fundamentally ill-equipped to protect your personal information against modern privacy threats.
You're just handing it over.
You are essentially trusting a complete stranger with your digital footprint and your social safety based on nothing but blind faith.
So, with the severe pitfalls of strict age discrimination, the immense analog liability of paper scorecards, and the terrifying prospect of having your face used in promotional photography completely exposed, we have to pivot.
Yes, let's look at the alternative.
We have deconstructed the problem. Now, we need to look at the modern, tech-forward alternative that was literally built from the ground up to solve these exact friction points.
The solution.
Let's talk about the solution that was on display in the Magic City matchup. Let's explore the Speed Mingle ecosystem.
This represents a true paradigm shift, not just in Birmingham, but in the social networking industry as a whole.
It's massive.
And it is important to note that Speed Mingle isn't a fly-by-night startup. It actually has deep foundational roots.
Give us the history.
The concept was founded in Omaha back in 2001, purchased by Brad Peters in 2004, and then it underwent a massive, highly capitalized relaunch in 2024, backed by a corporate entity called HRB Universal LLC.
So there's real backing here.
Exactly. It evolved from a simple one-off event format into a comprehensive, highly secure, multi-dimensional social ecosystem.
And before we get into the incredible mechanics of how their tech actually works, I need to explicitly correct a massive misconception that was floating around in some of the early local reporting.
Oh, this is crucial.
Some of the articles we reviewed, including a piece in the Birmingham Chronicle, stated that Speed Mingle uses color-coded interest zones to organize people at their events.
I remember reading that.
Let me be 100% clear on this for the record. Speed Mingle does not use color-coded interest zones.
Thank you for clearing that up.
That is old-school summer camp thinking.
That is a vital clarification. The idea of making an adult physically walk over to a corner of a bar marked with a green sign that says outdoor adventures or a blue sign that says foodies is exactly the kind of forced, awkward, highly visible interaction they are actively trying to eliminate.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, and it's entirely unnecessary with modern technology.
Exactly. Instead of making you wear a colored lanyard like a middle schooler, they rely entirely on their proprietary tech-forward digital matching system.
Which is completely invisible.
They use algorithms to group people based on behavioral psychometrics and shared conceptual interests, and it all happens seamlessly, invisibly in the background.
Let's break down how that actually works, because this seamlessly segues into what I consider their absolute strongest asset.
The privacy upgrade.
The privacy is everything. This is where the speed mingle architecture completely separates itself from the legacy speed dating models we just tore down. First and foremost, addressing the photographic nightmare. There is absolutely no photography used to sell tickets or promote the events.
Thank goodness.
Your face is not becoming their marketing collateral on Facebook.
Which is a massive sigh of relief. You can attend knowing your privacy is respected, and the registration process itself is strictly data blind.
I love the data blind approach.
This is revolutionary to me. The sources detail that they do not disclose specific registration data prior to or after the event.
Nothing at all.
No head counts are published to create artificial scarcity. No age ranges are strictly enforced. No gender identities, income brackets, or racial backgrounds are disclosed to the attendees beforehand.
That changes the whole vibe.
You walk into the room as a complex human being, not a distilled demographic statistic.
Okay, but I have to push back here because this sounds almost too utopian.
Play devil's advocate.
Let's say I am 25 years old and I genuinely, exclusively want to date people in their 20s. If registration is entirely data blind, am I going to show up and be seated across from someone who is 65 years old?
That's a valid concern.
Doesn't the lack of demographics create massive mismatches? How does an algorithm parse my personality and match me effectively if it refuses to look at my age or my zip code?
It is a brilliant question. The key is understanding what behavioral psychometrics actually means in this context.
Okay, explain it.
The algorithm isn't ignoring compatibility. It is prioritizing a deeper layer of it. Instead of matching you based on a birth year, it evaluates how you interact with the platform and the conversation prompts. Are you highly extroverted in your communication style? Do you prefer deep philosophical topics or lighthearted, humorous banter? The system groups you conceptually.
That's fascinating.
And because you are engaging in a multidimensional social space, remember, this is the ambient chaos the younger generation loves. If you do sit down across from someone outside your demographic preference, it isn't a wasted 4-minute romantic failure.
Right, it's just a conversation.
It is a potential networking contact, a mentor, or a new friend. The data-blind approach forces you to connect with the presence and the values of the person in front of you, completely neutralizing the superficial biases that dating apps have hardwired into our brains.
Okay, that makes total sense. It completely reframes the interaction. You aren't failing a date, you are succeeding at a social interaction.
Exactly.
Now, the real magic of the system happens with how they handle the actual matching process. We talked about the terror of the paper scorecard.
The paper scorecard peril.
Speed Mingle completely eliminates this with their proprietary Smart Sync web app.
The Smart Sync web app. Break this down because it's brilliant.
It is the operational core of the ecosystem. It replaces the analog clipboard entirely. When you attend a Speed Mingle event, you go by your first name only.
No last name.
No last name tag. You do not state your profession unless you want to. You have your personal smartphone, and you discreetly log your vibes, your interest levels, and your notes directly into the encrypted app.
No one can see what you're doing.
Exactly. No one sitting around you has any idea who you are selecting or rejecting.
And if there is a match, if you both indicate interest in each other on the app, it requires a specific mechanism they call a double opt-in mutual match unlock.
I love that phrase.
Walk us through exactly how this double opt-in works, because from a cybersecurity and psychological safety standpoint, this seems like the ultimate feature.
It fundamentally changes the power dynamic of the exit strategy. A double opt-in means that absolutely no personal information is ever released automatically at the end of the night.
None at all.
None. Even if you both swipe yes on each other during the event, The system does not immediately email you their phone number.
Okay, so what happens?
All post-event communication is end-to-end encrypted and contained entirely within the SmartSync ecosystem. The communication channel only officially opens if both parties independently log into the app after they have left the venue, gone home, and actively confirmed for a second time that they want to initiate a chat.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
It completely eliminates the pressure of the moment. You never have to give someone a fake phone number to politely escape a conversation.
No more fake numbers.
You never have to reject someone to their face while they stare at your paper scorecard. You can be polite, log your true feelings in the app, and leave the venue safely.
It's all about safety and autonomy.
You retain 100% control over your contact sphere. You only share your actual physical phone number when you feel completely safe and ready to take the conversation off the platform.
It provides a completely stress-free, socially graceful exit strategy for every single interaction. You are never trapped.
Which is huge.
But the technology is only half of the solution. The other half is the actual human interaction taking place at the table. How do we kill that awful, sterile, what do you do for a living interview vibe that plagues traditional events?
Speed Mingle tackles this head-on with their 52+2 Conversation Catalyst.
A conversation catalyst.
This isn't just a gimmick. It is a proprietary, physically designed card game created by communication experts.
Okay, how does it work?
The decks feature highly specific prompts ranging from categories like 21st century courting all the way to more intimate subjects under behind closed doors.
Oh, wow.
It provides these guided conversational triggers that immediately bypass the mundane small talk. You aren't asking about the weather or their commute. You are asking them a provocative question that forces substantive, engaging, and often highly humorous dialogue.
By utilizing the conversation catalyst, you are entirely bypassing the resume and diving straight into the core of their personality.
I beat it.
You are testing for intellectual chemistry, humor, and worldview within the first 60 seconds.
So efficient.
Now, we have thoroughly discussed the technology and the privacy safeguards, but it is crucial to understand that Speed Mingle isn't just one singular type of Friday night event.
Right.
They have built an entire diversified ecosystem designed to cure the various facets of social burnout.
Yes. This is where we bring back the relational portfolio analogy. If you want to build a truly diversified, healthy social index fund, you need different asset classes.
Different asset classes for different needs.
Speed Mingle provides this through 6 specific intentional modalities. You need to break these down because this is how you architect a thriving social life in 2026.
Let's start with track 1, Speed Mingle Anywhere.
The virtual track.
Yes, this is their bi-weekly virtual offering. It provides authentic face-to-face video interactions right from your own home.
Which is so convenient.
It is meticulously designed for individuals who want the physical safety, geographical flexibility, and convenience of digital connection, but who absolutely demand the authenticity of a live video conversation.
It completely bypasses the deceptive text-based swiping of the legacy apps.
That is the perfect asset class for a rainy Tuesday night when you just want to put yourself out there, practice your conversational skills, and meet new people without the logistical nightmare of finding parking in downtown Birmingham.
Ugh, parking downtown is the worst.
Then, moving to track 2, we have Speed Mingle Social. These are relaxed, non-hosted weekly gatherings that take place at established local malls.
So less structured.
Exactly. The objective here isn't rapid-fire romantic dating. The goal is simply expanding your baseline social circle. It is the modern, engineered equivalent of becoming a regular at a neighborhood spot, but with the massive advantage of knowing that everyone in the room is actively open to making new connections.
That's brilliant. Moving to track 3, we have Speed Mingle Happenings.
The happenings.
These are the highly curated, live venue-based events where the 52+2 Conversation Catalyst really shines.
That's where the cards come out.
Exactly. These events are specifically designed to eliminate the awkwardness of approaching strangers by utilizing those guided triggers. It is a higher energy environment designed to accelerate natural chemistry by focusing heavily on those shared conceptual interests we discussed earlier, rather than sorting people by rigid demographic labels.
Track 4 is honestly my favorite because it addresses a massive modern sociological issue. Speed Mingle Neighbors.
Speed Mingle Neighbors. Tell us about this one.
These are high-energy social events designed purely to turn local strangers who live in your specific building, complex, or immediate neighborhood into friends.
No romance.
Absolutely zero romance required or expected. Think about the architecture of modern living. How many people live in massive, dense apartment buildings and only ever give their neighbors the awkward elevator nod for 3 years straight?
Oh, I've done that.
We all have. We live closer together than ever, yet urban isolation is at an all-time high. This track shatters that isolation. It actively engineers a localized physical community right where you live.
Which is incredibly important for long-term psychological health and neighborhood resilience.
Completely.
Track 5 shifts gears entirely into the professional realm. Speed Mingle B2B.
Business to business.
Yes. This is a high-octane, round-robin professional networking track. It is tailored specifically for entrepreneurs, freelancers, small business owners, and corporate professionals looking to aggressively maximize their career circles.
Okay, so it's networking, but better.
Exactly. And again, utilizing their algorithm, it matches participants based on mutual professional synergy, ensuring you are spending your time talking to people who actually align with your industry or your business goals, rather than just blindly handing out business cards to people you'll never work with.
And finally, we have Track 6, which is officially launching in the fall of 2026. Speed Mingle 1-to-1.
The bespoke tier.
Right. This is the premium bespoke tier of the ecosystem. It offers pre-vetted, highly personalized, low-pressure matchmaking. You meet your match over coffee or cocktails, and it is based on deep, verified compatibility metrics.
That sounds amazing.
And the best part, it happens completely on your own schedule. You aren't waiting for a massive 150-person event to roll into town. It is curated just for you when you are ready.
When you view these 6 modalities together, anywhere, social, happenings, neighbors, B2B, and 1-to-1, you see a platform that fundamentally recognizes that human connection is multifaceted.
Yeah, it really is.
You do not just need a romantic date to be fulfilled. You need casual friends, you need professional contacts, and you need a localized community. They have engineered a highly secure system for every single facet of your social portfolio.
And this brings us to the crucial question of operational legitimacy.
Yes, the business side.
We asked earlier if those traditional speed dating hosts were just part-time mom-and-pop operations operating out of the trunks of their cars. Let's contrast that analog liability with Speed Mingle's actual online presence and corporate footprint.
The contrast is truly night and day. Speed Mingle is fully backed by HRB Universal, LLC.
A real corporation.
They operate with enterprise-level professionalism. They use secure, dedicated domain emails, not generic, unencrypted Yahoo or Gmail accounts. They utilize a highly secure digital infrastructure to protect your personal data, ensuring that the double opt-in ecosystem remains completely uncompromised.
And they have a massive, highly visible multimedia footprint. They aren't hiding in the shadows of some random Eventbrite page.
No, they're out there.
They are actively shaping the cultural conversation. They produce their own high-quality podcasts, like the Mise en Place Culture First podcast.
I've listened to that one.
It's good. They even operate their own television network, the HRB TV network, which you can stream directly on major platforms like Roku and Amazon Fire TV.
Wow.
They are publishing content, they are driving thought leadership in the connection space, and they are operating transparently at an enterprise scale.
That level of operational excellence fundamentally shifts the trust dynamic for the consumer.
It changes everything.
When you realize that an organization is treating human connection with strict, modern data privacy protocols, enterprise-level security architecture, and multidimensional ecosystem planning, it completely revolutionizes the landscape of meeting people in real life.
It removes the fear.
It removes the fear, it mitigates the friction, and it restores your agency. You aren't just paying a $20 cover charge at a dark bar and hoping for the best. You are stepping into a curated, protected environment structurally designed for your success.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this massive deep dive into the Magic City matchup, I want to issue a direct challenge to you, the listener.
Listen up, guys.
It is time to take the initiative. It is time to stop the endless scrolling. Step away from the highly volatile meme coins of the swiping apps.
Delete them.
Delete them. Reclaim your time, reclaim your emotional capital, and restructure your relational portfolio. I want you to attend a local Speed Mingle event to mix, match, and mingle in real life.
And if a Speed Mingle event isn't currently active in your specific city or neighborhood, do not passively wait for it to arrive.
Take action.
Take control of your local ecosystem. Contact Speed Mingle directly. You have the opportunity to become a local host or sign up as a venue partner to bring this revolutionary data-blind format to your own community.
Exactly. Be the catalyst that your neighborhood needs. Now, if you want to keep diving deep with us and exploring these concepts, here is exactly where you can find the show.
We are everywhere.
For audio listeners, we are everywhere you consume media. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, and Deezer.
And if you prefer a rich visual experience, you need to check out Speed Mingle TV.
Highly recommend.
You can find their content on YouTube or stream it directly on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Just search for Speed Mingle Network. You can also access the entire ecosystem and the SmartSync platform via their mobile web app at speedmingle.mobi.
And for the absolute ultimate home base, everything we've discussed today, all the sources and all the links can be found at 21st Century Dating Decoded.com.
Yes.
Do not forget to smash that subscribe button to support the show, leave us a rating, and ensure you never miss our next deep dive into the culture.
Before we officially sign off, this entire conversation raises an important question, and it is something I want you to truly mull over long after this audio stops playing.
Leave us with something good.
We have seen how algorithms and data-blind matching can successfully engineer our offline romances, our professional networks, and our deepest friendships without ever revealing our age, our income bracket, or our last name up front.
Right.
If that is true. Are we approaching a new era where our true compatibility identity, our humor, our values, our communication style completely replaces our static physical and demographic identity in society?
Wow.
What actually happens to the nature of human attraction when the traditional resume is entirely erased, the velvet ropes are torn down, and all you are left with is the raw, uncertified essence of who you are?
That is a profoundly heavy thought to leave on. When the analog X-ray machine of age brackets and rigid zip codes is finally broken, maybe we will actually learn how to see each other clearly for the first time.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay intentional, manage your portfolio, and we will see you out there in the real world.
Welcome to Speed Mingle.
Where making real connections happens in
Stream,
seconds.
swipe, socialize, your ultimate connection network.
Jump in now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Speed Mingle Network.